So everybody here is very capable of reading. I don't think I need to say what's going on. We're aware of the situation. And I have many thoughts, and I had many thoughts ever since the event happened, but I'm going to withhold those to the end of the video. So if you want to see what my thoughts are, just wait to the end of the video. Without any further ado, let's get into this.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out.
One thing I'll say for sure is that I know that Chris had to be incredibly hurt and humiliated by that. So it might be a while till they have that. They make them amends.
So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment. So I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. Tony Rock was my man, and this is probably irreparable. I spent the last 3 months replaying.
I could just you could just see. I can see he's very vulnerable right now. I can see that there isn't much of a wall up. It's very, very raw. Even though he's probably he's about to go into saying he's giving it a lot of thought, it's very apparent that this is something that he's thought of a lot, but it doesn't really come across as contrived. This just comes off as him just getting something off of his chest.
And understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults. After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris.
Yeah, it's her involvement in the entire thing is so. Oh man, it's muddy, because in a lot of ways she didn't necessarily tell him to do it, but implications may have been there, or what might have gone on behind the scenes had he didn't may have played a part in it too.
Jada had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, babe. I'm going to say sorry to my kids and my family for the heat that I brought on all of us. To all my fellow nominees You know, this is a community. It's like I won because you voted for me, and it really breaks my heart to have stolen and tarnished your moment. I can still see Questlove's eyes. You know, it happened on Questlove's award, and you know, it's like I'm sorry really isn't sufficient. What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down?
He's human.
So there's two things. One, disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. So it hurts. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me.
Respectfully, it's not your job to. Not excusing it, of course, but it's not your job to live up to anybody's expectation. I guess when you position yourself as a figure the way that he has over the last, I don't know, 30 plus years, such a clean record otherwise, to have such a public and massive blunder, I understand why you would say that, but it's definitely not your job to be people's role model.
And the work I'm trying to do is I am deeply remorseful, and I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human, and I made a mistake, and I'm trying not to think of myself as a piece of shit. So I would say to those people, I know it was confusing. I know it was shocking. But I promise you, I am deeply devoted and committed to putting light and love and joy into the world. And, you know, if you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
So, tell you what my initial reaction to Will Smith's incident with Chris Rock was. I didn't believe it at first. I didn't believe it. I thought that it was kind of like some sham bullshit. I thought it was like a stunt for the awards. I guess to a certain extent, I have like this inherent distrust of things that we've seen in media. But once I kind of settled into like having to accept the fact that this might have actually happened, I was disappointed, man. I was disappointed because, like many people, I love Will Smith. And that's coming from a person who, like, don't get me wrong, I like celebrities and stuff. You know, I think we live in America, so you're bound to like a celebrity or two. But I don't worship celebrities. I don't hold them in especially high regards. I don't expect a shit ton out of them or whatever the case is, because like I said about that, he's human still. Everybody's human. But Will's one of those guys that I really fucked with, because Will was the Fresh Prince. I've seen his work after. I've watched a lot of his movies, but the Fresh Prince is, in my opinion, like the quintessential piece of American media that I identify with, as far as just on a sitcom level at the very least. I grew up watching that. It was one of the few shows that I could watch with my parents and they not think it's dirty or whatever the case is. And you know, like, he's iconic, man. So I was disappointed for sure. For me, I think that it was more about how it was done as opposed to what was done. What was done was disrespectful. But personally, I think that it was understood. Had this happened without any cameras around or anything of that nature, I understand why somebody would do it. Would I have agreed with it? No. But I would have liked it a lot more if I didn't see this happen. Maybe I heard a story on TMZ that's mired in, you know what I mean, confusion, because, you know, so many different backstage altercations have occurred over the years that we just hear stories about. We don't really know about in detail. I had a conversation with my friend about this, and I was telling him I think that black entertainers have a higher level of scrutiny that's on you. And then his response was, I don't think that we should be caring about how white people feel about us. It took me aback. I didn't have a response for that. As I thought about it more, it's not about what white people think about black entertainers by any means. It's more so about what little black boys and girls are gonna see and think when they see this happen. Representation matters, whether we acknowledge it or not. As I said in previous videos, I'm not a stickler for like, oh, they didn't cast so-and-so, I'm gonna boycott it. I don't really give a fuck. We all have lives, and my life doesn't revolve around what the fuck goes on in the media. But what I will say is that representation is important, and there's a level of responsibility that I feel like you have as an entertainer. And I think that the way that he handled it wasn't responsible. Human, yes. I definitely understand that part, but not responsible. I really wish that it would have been handled behind closed doors. Now, I say all of that to say that's what I felt in the moment. Now, seeing his apology, not for nothing, it seemed very genuine. I'm glad that he did it. Even if it wasn't quicker, I'm glad that he did it in the first place, because he could have just not did it. It's something of a silver lining to this overall conversation. Chris Rock is still gonna clown him because that's what comedians do. When you shit on a comedian, expect to get that tenfold in the form of jokes and roasts and all of that shit, man. Like he said, Chris wasn't ready. I don't know when he reached out to Chris. He might have been being political when he said Chris wasn't ready. Chris probably said some real fucked up shit to him in response, and he just had to just take it on the chin, you know? One thing I definitely said from the beginning was that they're gonna reconcile, because disrespect is, whether we like it or not, a very powerful tool or emotion or thing. But I think solidarity, especially amongst the community, is something that's important. Sometimes things are bigger than you. Things are bigger than the two people involved. It's also about how it affects the community as a whole. Black entertainers aren't hoisted up by any means as being better than anybody else that's black in America, but that representation matters. It's important, you know? What you do carries a lot of weight. Even if it shouldn't, it does. So I think that at some point it'll start to over trump the incident. Maybe you just need enough time in between it. It could be 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, for all we know. But I think that they're going to reconcile for sure. Will publicly coming out and apologizing is the first step to that, I feel. Listen, man, Will is still a GOAT. He fucked up. But above all else, I think that it took him being a real man to get on a platform and apologize for his haste in action. I think that surrendering to your emotions often can be a very damaging thing. And I think that he fell victim to it that day. And that solidarity, man, that solidarity is important, man. That solidarity that I feel like is going to be the overall reason that these brothers reconcile with one another. Man, it's that solidarity that should have been in the back of Will Smith's mind during the course of that sequence, you know. But I think that cooler heads will eventually prevail. I don't even want to talk about Jada in this situation, because I think enough has been said about Jada. I don't need to add to that, though I have my opinions on how she handled it and how she went about it. Man, I don't really feel like trashing that woman, because that family has been through enough already. So there's no reason for me to add my 2 cents to that. But yeah, man, that's my views on the matter. Maybe you got something out of this, maybe you didn't. I don't know. We'll see. But above all else, I'm glad that you guys watched it. If you watched it to the end, I'm incredibly thankful. This was For lack of a better terms, it was something that was important. I think it needed to happen, and I'm glad that it happened. And yeah, without any further ado, cool hands, as always, for the people. Off this.